Our message continues to be and has been very clear, and as that we are standing. This is a president that's standing up against what Republicans themselves are saying is a hostage taking and threatening a default that would cause a recession, cost up to 8 million jobs, and increase costs for all Americans. That's what the president is fighting for. That's what we want to make sure Americans know. This is what we've been trying to do these past couple of weeks, and we're fighting against Republicans' extreme, devastating proposals that would slash, as you've heard me say, law enforcement, education, food assistance. All of these things are critical to American families who are just trying to make ends meet. So what the people should know, what the American people should know, that we are not taking any hostages here. Default is not an option. We want to reduce the deficit, which is why the president made sure to make that a priority in his March 9th budget that he released for fiscal year 2024, which is decreasing the deficit by an extra $3 trillion on top of what he has been able to do, $1.7 trillion in the first 2 years, again, a historic number. And we are negotiating with Republicans in good faith. And as I mentioned yesterday, and as the president mentioned on Sunday, we offered an additional cut to the spending of $1 trillion on top of the $3 trillion that we mentioned in our budget, the president's budget on March 9th, and on top of what we've been able to do the first 2 years. So that's our focus. We're fighting for the American people, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
When Americans hear default is not an option, can they also hear a guarantee from the White House that the government will be able to deliver their deposits next week?
We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that default is indeed not an option. And here's not just from us. We heard from all four leaders in this week, from Speaker McCarthy as well as the president, say that default is not an option. So that's what we're moving towards.
Good afternoon, friends. Less than 1 week, Congress and President Biden have a very short time to reach a deal. The White House is now reviewing a new set of options to avoid a government debt default. But this option may lead to even more trouble and cause an economic disaster. My dearest friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video to hear about all of the details. Also, in a video later today, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, simply click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, my friends, the greater your chances of winning the weekly giveaways. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and his Republican debt negotiators hit crunch time today at Capitol Hill. White House aides say they are straining to wrap up an agreement with President Biden ahead of a very close deadline. They hope to end weeks of frustrating talks and strike a deal by this weekend. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the government could start running out of money as soon as next Thursday, sending the U.S. into a potentially catastrophic default with economic spillover all around the globe. Anxious retirees and social service groups are among those already making default contingency plans. The next batch of Social Security checks are due to go out next week. Biden and McCarthy are narrowing differences, working to lock in details on a 2-year agreement that would restrain federal spending and lift the legal borrowing limit past next year's presidential election. Any deal would need to be a political compromise with support from both Democrats and Republicans to pass a divided Congress. While the contours of the deal have been taking shape to cut spending for 2024 and impose a 1% cap on spending growth for 2025, the two sides remain stuck on various provisions. The debt ceiling, now at $31 trillion, would be lifted for 2 years to pay the nation's incurred bills. A person familiar with the talks said the two sides were dug in on whether or not to agree to Republicans' demands to impose stiffer work requirements on people who receive government food stamps, cash assistance, and health care aid. Yet both Biden and McCarthy express optimism that the gulf between their positions could be bridged. One idea is to set the top-line budget numbers, but then add a snapback provision to enforce cuts if Congress is unable, during its annual appropriations process, to meet the new goals. On work requirements for aid recipients, The White House is resisting measures that could drive more people into poverty or take their health care. According to a White House aide, over the Republican demand to rescind money for the Internal Revenue Service, it is still an open issue whether the sides will compromise by allowing the funding to be pushed into other domestic programs. In one potential development, Republicans may be easing their demand to boost defense spending beyond what Biden had proposed in his budget. A U.S. default on its debt would have a significantly broader impact on federal operations, financial markets, and the global economy than recent government shutdowns that have left ordinary Americans unaffected. While the two have been confused frequently during debate over the debt limit, the federal government has had considerable practice with partial government shutdowns during the past decade. A default will potentially reduce payments that keep millions of households afloat, as well as payments to states and providers for health care for elderly and low-income Americans. Government shutdowns do not affect the financial markets that much anymore, meaning that Americans' retirement accounts typically do not start shrinking the longer a lapse in government operations extends. Economists expect that would be much different in an unprecedented debt default. And during a partial government shutdown, exempt federal employees report to work without pay, while non-exempt federal workers are sent home without pay. The exempt employees keep the government functioning. The union, which represents 750,000 workers within the federal government and the District of Columbia's local government, has not sent any guidance to its members about what to do if they do not get paid during a default. Dear friends, what are your thoughts about what's going on in our government? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Well, my magnificent and most marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for this afternoon. My friends, I will be announcing several winners today for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter these weekly giveaways, all you have to do is click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, my friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed afternoon.